HeartWalker Russ Mobley here. It's 9:15 Eastern Time, and I walked into a hospital, a medical center in Lake City, Florida, and I started to hear about the shootings in Dayton, Ohio. So I'm going to walk outside and continue talking. The name of this video that I'm doing is How to Stop the Shootings in Dayton, Ohio, El Paso, Texas, and all over the world. How to stop shootings. How to stop people from killing each other in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. But more than that, all over the world. But before I say anything else, I would just like to take a moment and for all the families and all the friends that's been affected by these shootings, I would just like to have a moment of silence. And I also want to chant the sound of Om. And Om is a universal sound, scientifically proven as the sound of the earth and the sound of our inner being when all sounds come together. So if you know, or if you've ever done this, please join with me. Otherwise, with your eyes open or closed, listen or sound it with me. Take a breath in. Om. 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 The sound of Om, to make that sound, one drops the chin, and it's also the sounds of God, Allah, Yahweh, Om. It's part of that sound, Om. And, you know, I was raised in America, and, you know, many people say, Amen, Amen, Amen. Now back to the topic. The topic is how to stop the shootings in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. Well, what I can tell you about stopping something is that whenever we try to stop something, we start something. Whenever we try to start something, we stop something. So one of the factors of life is that where there's life, there's death. Now, in the case of shootings and people doing these types of things, you know, we can talk about the government, we can talk about the president, we can talk about politicians in America or any other country. We can talk about immigration, we can talk about walls, we can talk about rules, we can talk about all of that. But I can tell you as a heart walker, and making this personal, I know myself, I was so angry and frustrated and disappointed with how my life was going back when I was 33. You know, I didn't even want to live myself. So I understand, even being raised in a religious household and community, how my mind can be filled with error and erroneous truths. So I don't think we're going to bring more love in the world by pointing a gun at somebody and shooting somebody to make them love. So I don't think we're going to have to use hate or revenge to do that. And one of the greatest teachers of all time was Jesus Christ, and you know, he didn't fight back. He loved people and accepted people. So the point of my message, and there's been a lot of spiritual saints and preachers and teachers and people that are publicly known or not known that have transformed the world. And I don't want to start making this about personalities. What I want to do is how do you stop people shooting and killing themselves? Well, number one, if we look at the news, the TV or the radio, all we hear is negative stuff. The media, they fuel on our interest if we buy into it. So, yes, something is happening in Dayton, Ohio. There's a lot of grieving going on, and everybody is stepping up to help those hurting families. But one thing we have to remember, we cannot treat the symptom and think we're curing the root. For example, I was in a hospital. It's a known fact that 85% of all hospital visits are stress related. Well, what is stress? When I'm not getting what I want, when I feel that others are taking what I have. And I don't care if it's on the battlefield or on the business front or on the home. I mean, how many people do we know that their marriages are unhappy, but they're staying married? How many people don't want to get married and they get married? How many people are in relationships or at jobs that they don't like? And then they go home and abuse their body, they abuse their mind, they fill it with negativity, and then eventually, at some point in time, they erupt like a volcano. So these kids, these men, these women, these girls, these boys, when their minds are just filtered and flooded with evil and separation and death and destruction. So I can't fix anybody over there, but I can tell you this: how do we stop the shootings? And I think that I have to surrender to my own heart. I think that if every man, woman, and child surrenders to their own heart and soul, that they will love themselves first. And then from that point, they, or I, let's take this personal, now I can accept other people as they are and the world as it is. What happens if I don't live from my heart, if I live from my head, what I'm literally going to do is say, well, I'm from America. This is my country, and damn it, you better stay out. And if you come in, I'm going to kick your blankety blank blank one way or another through rules or politics, personal or from a governmental point of view, or even if I break all the rules. And this, it doesn't matter if I believe in God or not. People, when they take other people's lives in their own hands, that's when the destruction happens. So I believe that we need to surrender completely to our own heart. And I guarantee you one thing, because I'm a heart walker, and I love, based on my own pain and suffering, I had 20 years from 13 to 33 where I was angry and I was frustrated and I didn't like my life. And I had to get honest with my life. So, like I said, when I dealt with the stress in my own life, I didn't have to go to a hospital like this. The sun and the moon will never have hospitals. The cats and the dogs, the squirrels, the deer, the turkeys, all the coons and the gators, you'll never see an animal hospital. It's only when humans get in the way and they try to make an animal be a human, or when they try to make other humans be like they are. And all we have to do as a people is be attuned with the reality of what is. And when we accept life as it is, only then can I accept myself as I am. I need to forgive myself for all the wrongs I have done. I need to accept myself for that. I don't need to beat myself up or make somebody shut up or sit down or go away. This isn't a governmental issue. Yes, the media will make it that, but if we put a spotlight on your life and a spotlight on my life and a spotlight on every one of your family members, and what kind of food do you put in your body? What kind of things do you read? What kind of things do I read? That's where the separation of love begins. and we start to live from our head. And I say it's our head walking our heart. And our head is filled with duality of you're in, you're out, you're up, you're down, I'm right, you're wrong, I've got more, you got less, I'm strong, you're weak. And if it's not those things, I just keep fighting and going back and forth. And the only way to unhook from that is to go to the love, go to the soul. Now here's what I know. I know this for a fact because I've heard it from thousands of people, in my travels, in my interviewing people, that everybody on the planet is trying everything in their power to be happy. And if not happy, to be happier. Everybody wants more. So why is it that there's so much unhappiness? Why is 85% of all people coming to visit hospitals? And then our whole medical system is treating symptoms. What if we go to the root and solve the hurt and the sadness in our own heart and in our own mind? What if we surrender and let go? It happens one person at a time. If you and I, at this moment, accepted ourselves fully as we are and said, I'm sorry, I forgive you. And then I look to my wife or my husband or my daughter or my son, my animals, whatever's in my family unit, and then I go to my neighbor. Do you know all of your neighbors? I mean the close ones. But we live on a round planet. Everybody's our neighbors. It doesn't matter because there's borders from city to country to state to nation. No. That's not the truth. The truth. When we know the truth, it'll set us free. And God said, I and my Father are one. God said, there shall be no other gods before me. There's only one God, and God is love. And if you don't believe in God, if you're not religious, fine. There's only one reality. There's only one science. I mean, nobody's fighting with each other. Look, the grass is not having a problem with the sky. The sun is not having a problem with the moon. This tree is not having a problem with oxygen. I mean, this tree and I are breathing completely. Now, if this tree dies, it's going to turn into another form of dust, and so will I. When my body, if this is the last day I live on earth, my body will just decay. There's nothing wrong or evil about that. The only thing that I believe that every man, woman, and child needs to do is to breathe into their heart and relax and let go. Turn off the TV of self and other destruction. Just turn it off. We know what's happening. We know there's hurtful people. But what can we do? We're not going to watch TV all day and get more depressed. Let's get up off the chair, off the couch, out of the office, and take 5 minutes and go love your neighbor. Love the person next to you, even the one you hate. God said love your enemies. And you don't even have to serve the God I'm talking about. Like Jesus talked about this stuff a couple thousand years ago. But there's been many, many, many masters and teachers that said love your enemies. So we can't look at the extremists. We can't look at the extremists because there's many more people on the other side that are filled with love, joy, and grace. And I'm one of them. And I bet you're one of them too. As a matter of fact, I know you're one of them. So here's my challenge. Here's what I'm encouraging you to do, is love your neighbor. It's easy to love people that believe and think like us. The challenge comes when I have to surrender and love another for who they are. That's how we stop shootings, not only in Dayton or El Paso, but we stop the shootings right here where we are. This is not an immigration problem, my people, because there's been millions and millions and millions of people that's come into the United States of America. And let me tell you something, all the illegal people are being fed, clothed, and housed under the table or over the table by people who are authorized. So it's not about, are you an immigrant or are you not? Or do you have the power to stop this mess? Or do you? It's not that. We are the people. You and I are the people. It's time for us to take our freedom and our rights back. And that's not an outside thing. That's an inside thing coming from our heart, coming from our soul. That's where it begins. And then we allow our heart to walk our head. And now we don't let it matter if we have a lot of money or no money, if we have a lot of health or no health, if we have a lot of time or no time. I mean, those have been the obstacles since the beginning of time. That's not going to go away. I mean, I'm 60 years old. I know I'm probably going to die around 90 or so. Maybe a few earlier, maybe a few more. But even if I die today, nothing's going to change. I need to honor my body, mind, heart, and soul. If I put junk in, junk is going to come out. If I'm gossiping and spitting out, fuming, negativity onto everything that I see, that's what I'm going to see, because that's what's in my heart. So anyway, I don't mean to sound like I'm a Mr. Know-it-all, because I'm not. And I don't mean to sound like I'm a preacher or a teacher, because I'm not. Let me tell you something. All I am is a heart walker. My name is Russ Mobley, and I am committed to live from my heart. And I choose to surrender to every man, woman, and child, to every biological and scientific observation, and as I learn how this world works, is to love it and flow with it and not fight it. And I just ask and encourage you to do the same. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. It's impossible for stressed people to breathe full. People that are relaxed and filled with love take full breaths. If everybody in the world, starting with you, would just begin to take a full breath in and a slow, full breath out. Just try doing that. Breathe into your heart and exhale from your heart. Just do that for 30 seconds. Do it for 5 minutes. Do it for 10 minutes. And maybe you can even work it up to 20 minutes or an hour. Whatever it is, there's no goal. Simply relax and let go. Love yourself, and then love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're being mean to your neighbor, if you're being mean to the politician, if you're being mean to any form of religion or government or non-religion or non-government, then you're mean to yourself. It's you. It's you. I had to change myself. I'm sharing this with love. I've been talking for 18 minutes and 48 seconds at this point. I hope you've watched this video. I'm going to post it, and I'm going to put myself out there, not to change anybody, but to change myself even more, to live a life filled with love when times are good, when times are bad, when babies are born, and when people die. And in that process, for me to serve whoever is near me. May God bless America. May God bless all countries. May God bless this world. May God bless the universe. And if you don't believe in God, fill in the blank. Change the word God to whatever it is you want. May your belief system be blessed as long as it's from the heart. Because if it's from the head, it may not be real. And that's what the true test for someone like me and for someone like you is, our daily challenge and our daily practice to be filled with compassion for all the pain and suffering that's going on in the world, and at the same time taking action, fearless action, as we reclaim our joy and love one another. This is Heartwalker Russ Mobley. God bless.